pray my love don't lie to me. Swing the iron like stamps and I can't let no hoe lie to me. I don't feel these rappers, all they lies is hypocrisy. Ain't no competition, ain't no rivalry. Niggas think I'm playing, I don't hear one word they saying. This shit light work. Think Muhammad one of us, he might lose his life first. Circle up and stay alert. Another cop just stretch the nigga. He a demon, it's an exorcism. Watch I bless the nigga. You took that oath in blood, then you know I'm gon' get active with you. From the opposition, I see vision. Let me paint the picture. Rappers claim they spin, I ain't listening. Is in fact the If revenge was a woman, now I stroke that bitch like Jacob. So time war, we gon' run the summer. It's gon' be historical. Thought they making plays, made them niggas call the audible. Ask who run this shit, but that question is rhetorical. Bitch, I'm the one, me cookies with the oil. I'ma get them crackers, hell should've never kidnapped my family. I can't just do that. Bet I be the last nigga standing. Do a life sentence for my niggas, pray you understand me. I might put a switch on this Glock and call it young baby. How you real triggering on them dots? You a bird feeder, claiming he a demon. What's a demon to a cold leader? What he saying something, I ain't hear him. This shit light work. It ain't about who got this gun, it's about who gon' up that pipe first. I turn a bad situation to a game changer. Bring soldiers from the dead, just raised up the chain frame. Shots, I'ma look like Aaron Jones when I run it. Never bite the hand that feeds you, you won't never get that hand back. He bitchin' about 10%, I don't wanna hear none of that. He dropping sword, fuck him, just make sure you get that cover back. Look around, he ain't with us, probably cause he never was. Now my chin like you with the angels for your brothers. Everybody wanna be Richard Porter, God kill him like Alpo. Play if he want, it's laying in the trunk like Lee Malvo. I'm a certified woman's ass nigga, I am not a toy. Hey, out with that hollow sign, yeah, this the rim accord. Feel like Gullah Jack when I'm in Fayetteville, you feel your boy. Still about my brain, still I think that's all that I do. The way I get that boy lost, they gon' start to call him Elroy. Fuck his game, pop out on them demons like I'm Hellboy.
Hey. I've been searching for the light just to make it through the night. If you hear my shouts, help me cast my demons out. I've been searching for the light, almost made it through the night. If you hear my shouts,
you know what I'm talking about? I'm a priest every day. I ain't trusting my ways just to slay. Need water, need to follow my way. It's I.S.U.P.K. And I noticed you slightly depressed. That's from your walk, I know you had on shades. When I look into your eyes, it seems like you wanna die today, but don't let her shut up, boy. I know that hoe I hear pop and tell. What's old to you, new to me. Call that bitch a garage sale, but on your case I heard it's cheating on you. Your money low and they don't wanna be round. I heard that you had the city on you, but now that bit like a ghost town. When your friends I heard you kill for any of them niggas, and I heard that from your song. But it's nice like they dismiss you, and I know I can't tell you nothing, but I'ma tell you straight up, you ain't nothing. Boy, you seeking hard for a nigga approval, boy, you sign gay switch topic. And I know you bait like tilapia, but your mind focused on the righteous. And the only nigga that's beside you, that's gonna tell you like YAHANNA. And I know it seems like I'm bashing, I call that a two-edged sword, but hurt coming in, sting coming out. What you think being right's for, huh?
Be real. I've been searching for the light.
Niggas swear they real, till goddamn they hear some shit they ain't never heard before, man. And when they hear some shit they never heard, they wanna challenge that shit like it's wrong or something. Get your weak ass mind right, nigga.
I've been searching for the light.
I'm here for you, man. I ain't saying I'm perfect, but Christ said be ye perfect, bitch.
If you hear my shout,
apply that shit, nigga.
Get it.
I'm a up here, I'ma show you, I paint that picture for you. You need to know the white man, the devil before I go in. You can't see that, I pull out my stats on how we kidnap. I'm pulling out fast about blast, how we got packed on damn shoots. It ain't no cap, and the damn shorts set us up like snacks. And the damn women have a damn traps and the louds, and it's all traps. But you gotta relapse on your damn history. I don't need no y'all if you came out. Where the hell we from? You hear this English, boy, but what's our tongue?
What's your home language, man?
I'ma tell you straight up. Yeah, I serve the Lord like ain't nothing to it. But I'm telling you, it's war like Call of Duty. Yeah, I'm on this land, and I got a plan. Just grab my hand, but I'm your second chance. If you don't understand, then I guess you're damn. But I'm here face to face, an angel to a fan. Whoa. Listen to the damn right turns. If you laugh, you might die unlearned. I'ma get you straight like a damn perm.
I've been searching for the light, just to
You know what I'm saying? I'm here. I feel like we put on earth for a reason, man. But it's up to you to fill out that purpose, man. Ain't about getting your mind dumb, smoking weed and shit. Goddamn sniffing cocaine or serving a white man all your life, nigga. You think the white man is God out here? That's why you don't question what the hell they doing out here, man. Cause you serving them, man. Serve the Lord, you bitch, you. Like it.
Hey, Shalom Israel, Yahweh Shem Shabbat to all the brothers, Yahweh Shem Tan Bashem Yahweh Shai to all the sisters. This precinct officer 50 Barak Allah, and tonight, just like every Tuesday night, Salakia, we have the Brotherhood class. Now I know I'm supposed to alternate between French and English, but the topic on this one was a two-part class, right? So next week we'll switch back to French. But I am with the I.S.U.P.K, which is the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge, under Commanding General YAHANNA. Started out at 1 West Center at 25th Street, Harlem, New York, since 1969. We've been teaching blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians the truth about the biblical scriptures, that we are the original Israelites that the Bible speaks of. The so-called white man in the state of Israel right now, he's not a real Jew. You understand? The white man is the devil the Bible speaks of. And we're teaching black, Hispanics, and Native Indians to gather together. You understand? We're breaking that division that we have between us. You understand? Instead of burning them bridges, we're rebuilding the bridges that we should have between us as a nation, because blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indian are one nation in the first place. And tonight we're going to look into, again, why we should gather together. Why the time that we're in right now is one of the most important time, you understand, to be able to gather together as one nation, right? To be able to have protection, so that our women be protected, our children be protected, our brothers be protected, you understand? So that you know, with the times that are going on right now, whether it's with the war or the famines, the natural disasters, we need to have a sanctuary. You understand? Just like all these other nations have their sanctuary. Well, when it comes to these other nations, it won't last long though, but our sanctuary will last forever, because our sanctuary is the kingdom to come. You understand? And that sanctuary is with the I.S.U.P.K. Again, it's the Israelite School of Universal and Practical Knowledge. Right? So now let's dive into some scriptures right now. You understand? Because here's the thing. Like I said, with everything that's going on, whether it's with the war, the famine, the natural disasters, you understand, there is the plagues like COVID and monkeypox, whatever the case is, or whatever the Most High is going to bring afterwards, right? Because worse is to come. Each nation is going to turn to their own for help, you understand? So when each nation are going to turn to their own for help, who are you going to turn to, black, Hispanic, and Native Indian men and women? Who are you going to seek help from? I mean, you're already living in hell and nobody gives a damn about you, right? The Native Indian brothers and sisters, the so-called Gadites, they're living in reservations right now, asking only Salaki, they're only asking for clean water. They're not getting anything, not even a drop, not even a droplet, you understand? Not even a drop in the bucket, right? So when worse comes to worse, who are you going to seek help from? When our Latino brothers are seeking a better way of life by crossing the border legally. You understand? They're being rejected and put into cages, separated from their families. They're only seeking a better way of life. When our Haitian brothers and sisters were seeking a better way of life, right, after the president, even before the president got murdered, assassinated, you understand? They were being rejected at the border as well. So who are you going to seek help from? You need to keep that in mind, that each love is on. As a matter of fact, we're going to get that scripture right now. It's in Ecclesiasticus chapter 13, verse 15, right? I'm going to show you where it says that each nation love his own. You understand? And that we should not seek love, compassion, or help from any other nation but our own. And our nation comprised of the so-called Negroes that came here into the Americas and the Caribbean by slave ships, the so-called Native American Indians. I'm just going to say Native Indians, right? Because there's Canada as well, right? And the so-called Hispanic people, the Latinos, the Mexicans that you don't love, the Puerto Ricans that you have a beef with, the Dominicans. These are our brothers and sisters. We make up the 12 tribes of Israel. You understand? We are one nation. So whenever we seek help, compassion, or anything, you understand, we need to look at our own first. Let's not ask the white man to give us a hand. The white man, he's not gonna give you a hand. You're gonna get the only hand he'll give you is a slap in the face. Let's be honest. You understand? Any other nation will just give you a slap in the face if you ask for a hand. You understand? So now let's get into like I said, Ecclesiasticus chapter 13, verse 15. I'm gonna show you where it says to each his own, basically, right? So now, Ecclesiasticus chapter 13, verse 15, it reads, every beast loveth his like, and every man loveth his neighbor. You understand? Meaning, the dog, they love dogs. The wolf are going to hang out with the wolves. The deer are going to hang out with the deer. You will not see the deer hang out with a bear. You understand? The bears are going to be with bears. The lions are going to be with lions. Hyenas is going to stay with hyenas. They don't mix. You understand? They don't show no okay, if a lion sees a hyena cub, he's not gonna show like no compassion, like, oh, I see an orphan hyena baby, whatever the case is. He's gonna tear his head off. You understand? Just like if a hyena sees a lion cub, they're not gonna have a compassion because it's a baby, it's a cub. They're gonna tear his head off. You understand? And blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians were that lion cub seeking compassion from a hyena. You understand what I'm talking about? We're seeking compassion from a nation that despises us. Lions and hyenas despise each other. You understand? You will not see the goat or the sheep looking for compassion or love or any kind of help from a wolf. The wolf will tear that sheep up, you understand? But we need to learn from that. These scriptures are the instructions that the Most High gave us to be able to live in this world or society. You understand? Without these scriptures, we don't have any form of discipline. These scriptures are our way of life. As a matter of fact, the first 5 books of Moses, also known as the Torah, it means lifestyle. These scriptures are the Bible is our lifestyle. You understand? From following the Most High, from not eating whatever these nations are eating. You understand? From not indulging in any type of sexual deviancy, from showing brotherhood to one another, from being able to forgive one another, from not having our women sleep around. You understand? From having more than one wife, being able to build a nation. That is our lifestyle. You understand? And now we just read that to each his own. I mean, even back in the days, the nation of Israel, they stuck to their own, you understand? And whenever they didn't stick to their own, the Messiah was checking them. You understand? So now, let's keep on reading, right? Verse 16. All flesh consorted according to kind, and a man will cleave to his like. Just like I said, I was paraphrasing, but let me break it down to you. When a man cleaves to his like, it literally means to each his own. You understand? Especially during the times that are coming right now. Russia's been at war with Ukraine for ever since February. Yes, and China is running military drills right next to Taiwan, but we already seen that scenario with Russia and Ukraine. China's just about to it's about to get into Taiwan. Just watch. It may be tomorrow, it may be next week, maybe next month. Who knows? But it will definitely happen. And these are signs. I mean, I was gonna say these should be signs. It's not that it should be, but they are signs, right? That the Messiah is about to send Christ back on this earth to destroy this empire, the white man's world. You understand? And these are signs for blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians to wake up and come back to this truth, come back home, join the UPK, to be able to gather together as one nation, to cleave to their own. You understand? Because when the famine comes, and it is coming, right? When the famine comes, are you gonna beg your oppressor for breadcrumbs? Are you gonna beg your oppressor for a piece of the pie? You understand? Our Gadite brothers, are you still gonna beg your oppressor for clean water? We need to come back together, because together, that's how we're able to help each other out. We're able to feed each other. You understand? In the I.S.U.P.K, we got food programs, clothing programs, prison programs. We only focus on our own. You understand? The brotherhood in the I.S.U.P.K, you cannot compare it to anything that you have in the world right now, whether it's your gang, your so-called fraternity, your so-called friends in the world. You understand? The love that is shown in the I.S.U.P.K is uncomparable, right? I mean, I think it was like 2 weeks ago, the brothers that we have in Toronto give them a hand, right? To Officer 1000 Zabadi, my big brother, and Officer 500 Shaiwan, another one of my big brothers, that told me, yo, just come down to Toronto, we'll take care of you. The men in the I.S.U.P.K don't lie. You understand? Over there, I was taken care of. When I was in Toronto, I'm not even from Ontario in the first place. I had a place to stay. They made sure I was fed and everything. You understand? I was, like the Bible said, I was a stranger in their zone. They took care of that stranger. You understand? They took care of me. These are my big brothers right there. Officer 1000 Zabaja and Officer 500 Shayawan. You understand? I can't wait for these brothers to come down to Montreal and show them the same hospitality they were showing me when I came to Ontario. Right? But it's just to show you that we need to cleave to our own. When I'm going to Ontario, I'm not going to seek no love or compassion from no Moabites, no Chinese, no East Indians, no Ishmaelites. You understand? I'm going to cleave to my own people, just like we should do in the first place. Right? And like we just read in Ecclesiasticus, which is in the Apocrypha, chapter 13, verse 16. Right? All flesh consorted according to kind, and a man will cleave to his like, to each his own. As a matter of fact, let's go a bit further. Verse 17. What fellowship hath the wolf with the lamb? So the sinner with the godly. It's telling you right here. The wolf will not mix with the lamb. What do they have in common? That they're animals, that they bleed red. This is one of the most dumbest statement you could ever say. Like, we're all humans, we bleed red. Am I a dog now because dogs bleed red as well? You understand? Am I a frog? Frog bleed red, right? Am I a frog because they bleed red as well? That doesn't make absolutely no goddamn sense. You understand? That is really the spirit of Christianity. We are all the same. We are all equal. When you don't even have to look in the Bible to know that we're not even all equal in the first place. You understand? If we were all equal, there wouldn't be no goddamn white privilege. The key word is privilege. They have an advantage over the other nations. I mean, okay, we don't give a damn about any other nation that is not Israel, but it's just to show you that the white man is so bold. He coined the term white privilege, meaning he has an advantage over any other nation, especially the nation of Israel, which is blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. You understand? The white man, when he seeks help, he goes to another white man. You will not see a white man asking for a handout in a black neighborhood. The Chinese, they have Chinatown. If they're really in need of a job or whatever the case is, they go to Chinatown. You understand? The Arabs, they have the gas stations. The East Indians, they have the convenience stores, just like some of the Chinese. They know where to seek help from. You understand? But who can we seek help from? Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. What do we have? What can we provide to our own? If we give every single penny to other nations, if we give all our love and compassion to other nations, how can we help each other if we want to help the other nations first? You understand? The nation of Israel is a holy people, and holy comes from the Hebrew word Quadash, meaning separate. As a matter of fact, we're going to get into that scripture right now. One moment, we're going to go into Deuteronomy chapter 7, verse 6, right? Give me 1 second. Like I said, Deuteronomy chapter 7, verse 6, right? For thou art an holy people unto the Lord thy God. The Lord thy God hath chosen thee to be a special people unto himself, above all that are upon the face of the earth. Deuteronomy 7 and 6 is telling you we are a holy people, meaning we're a separate nation. We're not supposed to be mixing with all these nations. We're not supposed to indulge in what name? Martin Luther King's dream. You understand? His dream was to have black boys and little white girls holding hands together, little white boys and little black girls holding hands together. That was a nightmare. That is literally a nightmare. You understand? We gave up everything just so we could swim in the same pool as them white boys and them white girls. You understand? The Mosai told us we're a separate nation. We're supposed to be above all the nations of the earth. But Israel, being a comfortable slave in its plantation, right? They don't mind mixing with everybody. Here's the thing. We want to mix everybody and then complain that the other nations are above us, but the fact that we're mixing with them, right, gives them the power to be above us. You understand? It gives them the power to be able to oppress us. So there's really nothing to complain about because you really get what you're asking for. You think there's equality? There's no such thing as equality. You understand? If there were equality, like I said, there wouldn't be no white privilege. And that white privilege is not going away. I mean, it is going away when Christ comes back, but For now, the white man is on top, so the white privilege is not going away. You understand? You cannot complain when you get what you ask for. And like is a saying, they say, be careful what you wish for. You understand? Martin Luther King said he had a dream, right? And right before his dream, right before it got realized, right? It came true. He said that I'm gonna paraphrase that he feared that he led his people into a burning house. Now, a burning house is a trap, is a death sentence. You understand? That's what Martin Luther King said himself. That dream that he had, he regretted having that dream. You understand? And in the first place, let me remind you that Martin Luther King, he really didn't care about joining white people. He really didn't care about blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians being at peace with white people, being able to integrate. You can look it up. All Martin Luther King wanted to do is have orgies with white women. As a matter of fact, he was caught having a bunch of orgies with white women. You understand? That's all Martin Luther King cared about. He cared about the white box. That's it. He did not give a damn about no blacks, Hispanics, or Native Indian brother or sister. You understand? He loved his oppressor. Let me remind you as well. He was a Baptist. You understand? That's the Ku Klux Klan Christianity. You understand? He loved his oppressor. All he wanted to do is sleep with white women. He didn't give a damn about joining white people, being able to swim in white pools, be able to drink from the same fountain as white people. He didn't give a damn about that. He only cared about the white box. That's it. You understand? But let's get back to the scripture. I mean, we're going to show you why right now is a high time to be joining together. You understand? Yeah, we have Salaka. We have another one of my big brothers in Montreal. You understand? The Levite with the might. You understand? The mighty Levite. Officer 1000 Adayar Banlauya. Shalom Arwan Yabashim Shabrakta. You understand? So like I'm saying, right? I'm going to show you why right now is a high time for us to be gathering together as one nation. Right? We're going to jump into the book of Zephaniah chapter 2 verse 1. 1 second. Right? So the Most High ordered us to join together as one nation. You understand? And the nation of Israel, like I said, is the blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indian brothers and sisters. I mean, we need to stop dividing each other over skin color, over a language barrier. You understand? Over certain looks, because some of our Native Indian brothers have straight hair. Right? I mean, Salaka, my grandma had straight hair. My grandma is a Carib Indian. You understand? There's something that, okay, we're trying to make a difference or a separation between each other, right? It really stems from white people trying to divide us in the first place. You understand this, which is the reason why a lot of Haitians have beef with a lot of Dominicans in Santo Domingo. You understand? At the end of the day, we're the same people. I mean, if I go to Haiti right now, they will think I'm a Haitian, even if I'm not. If I go to the Dominican Republic, they may think I'm a Dominican. It's like last class I mentioned, when I was in Ecuador in 2019, they thought I was Dominican or Puerto Rican. Don't think you're able to make the difference. You're not. You understand? I speak a little Spanish. You know, they might think, you know, soy Dominicano, soy Cubano, soy Puerto Riqueño, soy Boricua. You understand? Soy colombiano. You cannot make a difference. You would never know. Unless I tell you myself, I'm from Martinique, you would never know. You understand? Most of my life, because I speak French, they think, oh, so you're Haitian. I'm like, no. Then I started speaking English, they're like, oh, you're Jamaican. I'm like, no. But my point is, you cannot make the difference. You understand? I have some, there's brothers in the world, some friends of mine who were living in my building. They're from El Salvador and Guatemala. But you would think they're Mexicans. How can you make the difference? Israel, we all look the same, literally. You understand? When I was in Ecuador, I had this brother, Andres, trying to show me in Las Esmeraldas in Ecuador, right? That's where we have a lot of black people. We have the concentration of black people of Ecuador are in Las Esmeraldas. And these brothers are darker than me. How can you make a difference? How can you tell whether or not they're Ecuadorians? You understand? There's that brother in Puerto Rico. I think his name is Osuna. He's an artist, right? Right. His name is Osuna. How can you know whether or not he's Puerto Rican? You would not know. Colorism really it stems from white people trying to divide us. You understand? Because you're not able to make the difference between a black, Hispanic, or a Native Indian man, literally. You understand? It's like we have some brothers in the ISUPK that would be considered so-called blacks or Negroes that are actually natives or Gadites. You understand? Some brothers just look like blacks or Negroes, but actually Mexicans, Issacharites. Then you have lighter brothers, right? Just like we read in Jeremiah. As a matter of fact, before I get Zephaniah, I'm gonna read that for you. Jeremiah chapter 14, verse 2, right? I think it's verse 2. Give me 1 second. Right. So Jeremiah chapter 14, verse 2, right? It says, Judah mourneth, and the gates thereof languish. They are black unto the ground, and the cry of Jerusalem is gone up. Meaning, like the Jews, Jew is a shorter term for Judah, right? It says that Judah is in mourning, right? So we're in poor living conditions. We're living in hell, basically. You understand? There's sadness and sorrow within our communities all the time. Whether we're on drugs, we get killed, we kill each other. But it also says that we are black unto the ground, meaning when you look at the ground, when you look at dirt or earth or the earth, you understand? The earth is brown, is from dark brown to light brown. You have dark brown earth to light brown sand. You understand? And that is the nation of Israel. You understand? So like I'm saying, you cannot make the difference, right? Give me 1 second. You're not able to make the difference between any blacks, Hispanics, or Native Indian. You understand? Like I said, my grandma is a Carib Indian. She didn't have no kinky hair, like they say. They like to say kinky hair, or she didn't have no afro. You understand? Her hair was straight. You understand? So it's not about hair texture. It's not about skin color. You understand? Israel, we have all types of skin color. We have all types of hair texture. You understand? Let me get another scripture for you real quick before we get into Zephaniah chapter 2, verse 1, right? I'll go into Jeremiah chapter 12, verse 9, right? And it reads, Mine heritage is unto me as a speckled bird. I'll stop right here. What is a speckled bird, right? To anyone that is in chat right now, what is a speckled bird? You understand? As a matter of fact, give me 1 second. If you know what is a speckled bird, type it in the chat. But just give me 1 minute, all right? All right, Salakia for the interruption. Now, like I said, what is a speckled bird? I'm gonna give you like 30 more seconds. Let's see if y'all know what is a speckled bird, because the Bible in Jeremiah chapter 12, verse 1, it reads, "Mine heritage is unto me as a speckled bird." Right? Now, the Most High's heritage is the nation of Israel, his children, you understand? But what is a speckled bird? I'm gonna give y'all 30 more seconds. If not, I'm gonna just answer it for you. You understand? What is a speckled bird? All right, so let me just give it to you. Give me 1 second. So now a speckled bird is a bird of multiple colors. You understand? This is just like 1 second. This is a speckled bird is a bird of multiple colors, right? This is really talking about the nation of Israel, where we range from dark skin to light skin. I mean, if you see my brother Upsis Abaja, he would be considered dark skin, right? He's not Wesley Snipes dark. I'm not. Hey, Salah, God, I don't know if you hear this, but I'm not gonna put it like that. He's not Wesley Snipes dark, but he would be considered dark skin. You have brothers like me in the Caribbean. We say we're brown skin, or we say we're fair skin, right? And you have light skinned brothers. I mean, we have our captain, our scholar, Captain Kataza, right? He would be considered a light skin. You understand? Or we have other brothers, our I.S.U.P.K brothers, right? One of my brothers offers a 500 Yashakar. You understand? He'd be considered light skin. So we have brothers dark skin like Officer Zubaja to brothers light skin like Captain Kataza or Officer Yashikar. You understand? That's what a speckled bird is a bird of multiple colors. And I'm going to get you one more scripture, right, just to show you that you cannot look at Israel or identify any Israelite by skin color. That is idiotic. You understand? Because we're light skinned, whatever the case is, we cannot be Israelite. Only the dark skinned brothers are Israelite. That's dumb, because let me tell you something. In Ethiopia, you have dark skinned Ethiopians, you have light skinned Ethiopians. They're Ethiopians regardless. You understand? They don't say you're not Ethiopian because you're light skinned, whatever the case is. In India, Pakistan, or Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, you have dark skinned East Indians, you have light skinned East Indians. They don't look at each other like you are not an East Indian because you're lighter than me. That it really stems from the white man's philosophy. You understand? Let me get you one more scripture. Like I said, we're gonna go into Hosea chapter 7, verse 8. All right? Give me one moment. Bear with me. Hosea chapter 7, verse 8, and it reads, Ephraim. Now, if you're not familiar with the 12 tribes, whatever the case is, Ephraim would be the so-called Puerto Ricans today, the Boricua brothers and sisters. You understand? That's who Ephraim is. Now it reads in Hosea chapter 7, verse 8, Ephraim, he had mixed himself among the people. Ephraim is a cake not turned. Now, if you're not, I'm not gonna say a Gordon Ramsay in the kitchen, whatever the case is, you understand. But if you're not an experienced cook, or if you never baked a cake before, I mean, I did. I was baking cake my whole childhood, and my mom and grandma, we baked the best cakes. I mean, so like Israel, we might have to go to council with that. But I'm thinking like, Benjamin, we make the best cakes. You understand? No, scratch that. It's saying right now that Ephraim is a cake not turned. If you ever made a cake or a pancake, you understand, the part that is cooking is gonna get darker and darker. You know, brown, more brown. You understand? The part that is on top, which is not cooking, right, is gonna remain light. Now, when you look at Puerto Rican brothers, right, because it's speaking about Ephraim right now, right? So when you look at Puerto Rican brothers, right, I think it's Officer Slakia. I don't want to butcher his name, but we have a brother in Puerto Rico right now. He's darker than me. You understand? And we have Captain Kataza, who's an Ephraimite, and so-called Puerto Rican brothers will be light. So the brother that's in Puerto Rico right now, right, he'll be the part that is cooked. Or Captain Kataza will be the part that is on top, which didn't get much heat. You understand? But regardless, they'll be the same people. Regardless, you understand? You cannot look at brothers and sisters like with colorism. You understand? Like I said, it really stems from white people, right? So now let me show you why we need to gather together. Why right now is the high times to gather together. You understand? As one nation, blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indian people, right? So let's go back to Zephaniah chapter 2 and verse 1. Gather yourselves together. Yea, gather together, O nation not desired. Now again, if you haven't watched any of my brother classes, I always break it down. Who's the nation that is not desired? You understand? It's the so-called Negroes that came to the Americas and to the Caribbean as slaves, the so-called Hispanics or Latinos, and the so-called Native Indians. Because when you look at it, they don't give a damn about the Negroes, you understand? They don't give a damn about us, right? If you hadn't seen, I mean, yesterday we had on I.S.U.P.K. Mexico and Latino America, we had La Pura Neta, right? With Officer Kazak Yad, Officer Lahab, Officer Malakma, Officer Yashikar, Officer Ayar, you understand? We had La Pura Neta, and we're touching on the fact that we are the nation that is not desired, right? When you look at it, at the so-called Mexican-American border, our Latino brothers, when they try to cross the border to look for a better way of life, they are being put in cages, separated from their family. Our Haitian brothers and sisters, we were fleeing Haiti after the president, even before the president was assassinated, but afterwards, right? They're fleeing Haiti, trying to enter the States via the Mexican border. Understand? They're being whipped on the horseback by border patrol agents. You understand? And up to this day, I mean, like, when the so-called Afghanis, right? They're fleeing Afghanistan. They got welcomed with open arms in Europe, France, Britain, Canada, United States, right? When the Ukrainians are fleeing the Russian war right now, they're being welcomed with open arms as well. And as a matter of fact, it's so hypocritical because they will let the Ukrainians go through the Mexican-American border, right? But they will not let any Hispanic, any so-called Negroes, Black Haitians go to the Mexican-American border to seek a better way of life or to seek asylum. You understand? The Native Indian brothers and sisters right now, they're on reservations on what we would call their own land, asking for a drop of clean water. They're not getting a drop of clean water. Justin Trudeau was campaigning in 2015 to be prime minister, talking about he will provide clean water to the Native Indians. It's 2022 right now, 7 years later, still not a drop of clean water. Right? The Roman Catholic Church said they don't have enough money to help the Native Indians, our Gadite brothers. And as a matter of fact, right, Only, okay, so let me put it like this. When you look at the Vatican only, not even the whole different branches of Christianity or Roman Catholic Church, right? The Vatican only has trillions of dollars. It's worth trillions of dollars. You can look it up. And in Canada right now, we have about 1.4 billions of dollars of uncashed checks. But they would say they don't have enough money to help the Native Indian brothers and sisters on their reservations starving and dying of thirst because they don't have no clean water. When you look at that, you know who is the nation that is not desired. You understand? When it comes to our culture, when it comes to the music, the food, the way we dress, the way we talk, every single nation tries to copy us, but they will not give us credit. When they speak about us, they speak against us. We are gangsters. We are dirty. We are savages. When it comes to our food, our music, the way we talk, and everything, they're copycats. You understand? We don't get no credit for nothing. I mean, we made the world go round. Without blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indian people, there would be no sewage system. The piping system that we get from, I mean, most of the world, right? It comes from the Mayans and the Aztecas. You understand? The irrigation system. You understand? The hydroponics. You understand? It comes from the so-called Latino brothers, the Mexicans, the Central Americans, right? Even, I mean, you couldn't even open a door without blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. We invented the doorknob. You understand? We invented the broom and the dustpan. You wouldn't be able to store your food right now for later because we invented the fridge. You understand? You wouldn't be able to enjoy a glass of whiskey because a black man, a slave, came up with the formula, right, to make Jack Daniels. You understand? We make the world go round, but we don't get credit for nothing. These nations are despicable. And it shows who is the nation not desired. It's the blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians who make up the 12 tribes of Israel. We are the nation of Israel, the nation that is not desired, right? So let me keep on reading Zephaniah chapter 2, right? So we just read verse 1. Gather together, Salaka, gather yourselves together. Yea, gather together, O nation not desired. Verse 2. Before the decree bring forth, before the day pass as the shaft, before the fierce anger of the Lord come upon you, before the day of the Lord's anger come upon you, right? I mean, we need to gather together before judgment day comes, before the Most High sends back Christ on this earth with the angels to destroy the kingdom that is right now. You understand? So when, okay, the world is literally at war right now, right? Whether it's Russia and Ukraine, China versus Taiwan, the whole wide world, all these nations, all the countries are going to go to war. You understand? And when that day comes, we need to be able to gather together before the Most High ends the war by sending Christ, right? For the season finally. You understand? So that Christ puts an end to the white man saga. If I could put it like this, you understand? The white man kingdom saga, before he puts an end to Babylon. We need to be able to gather together. That's what the Most High is saying in Zephaniah chapter 2, verse 1 to verse 2. You understand? Before his anger comes upon the face of the earth. Right? Before judgment day comes, we need to gather together. And that only place where we can gather together is in the I.S.U.P.K, Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge. L'école israélite de connaissance universelle et pratique. La escuela israelita de conocimiento universal y práctico. You understand? ¿Entiendes? That is the only place where we can get it together under commanding General Yahanna. Right? Like I'm saying, the world is at war right now. Famines are coming. You understand? Harsh times. We've been living in hell. We've been living in harsh times. But harsher times are coming. It is going to get worse, whether it's with the plagues, the natural disasters like the forest fires, earthquakes. The war is going to get worse. Like I said, the whole world is at war. I mean, I have a brother in the world. He's an Asherite, right? His son is my nephew and everything. But I have love for this brother. But hey, one thing he told me is that if the war comes to Canada, he's going back to Peru. Well, if you're listening, brother, guess what? Peru is going to war as well. I mean, even Officer Zabaja mentioned it on our Sunday podcast, right? We have a podcast, I.S.U.P.K Canada, every Sunday. He mentioned it. It wouldn't make no sense to run from one war zone to another. Where are you going to find peace? You understand? The only place where you can find peace, solace, and a sanctuary for your people, your family, is in the I.S.U.P.K. You understand? Now let's keep reading, right? We're gonna go into Matthew, right? We're gonna go into Matthew chapter 24. Let me make sure. Is it 24? Guys, I'm gonna go into Matthew chapter 24, verse 6, right? I'm just showing you right now why blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians, why it is a high time for blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians to come together, right? So give me one moment. Israelite School of Universal and Practical Knowledge. Shalom, Yahbashim Shabrak. Everyone. Tawada for tuning in, right? So now we're in Matthew chapter 24, verse 6. And it reads, "And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet." Right? So we're reading right now about biblical prophecy, like Russia. We've been, even before Russia invaded Ukraine, we were hearing about wars and rumors of wars. We're hearing about Russia trying to go into Ukraine, China versus Taiwan, China versus India. You understand? The so-called state of Israel being at war with the Palestinians, right? You need to understand, we've been here. This is biblical prophecy. This is the reason why blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians needs to gather together. The Most High is sending us signs. He's sending us wake-up calls. You understand? He say, hey, it's time to come back home. You understand? Instead of being divided, join back as one nation. That's what the Most High is telling us. That's why he's sending all these plagues, monkeypox, COVID, all natural disasters, whether it's tsunamis, earthquakes, forest fires, right? The famine that is to come. I mean, as a matter of fact, we're going to keep reading, right? But it reads right there in verse 6 that we should not be troubled. We should not panic about what's going on around the world, right? We should not panic because there's a war. We should not panic because there's a famine coming, because there's a forest fire, because there's a drought. You understand? These are the signs that the Most High is giving us to let us know, hey, maybe next day, maybe tomorrow, maybe next week, I'm sending back your king on this earth, Yahweh Shai Mashiach in the Hebrew, which the world ignorantly called Jesus Christ. I'm sending him back on this earth to free you from your oppression. I'm sending him back on the earth with a sword. I'm sending him back on the earth to do some killing. And if you don't want to be part of them bodies that are going to drop, y'all better be able to gather together. You understand? That's what the Most High is telling us, basically. Right? So let's keep reading verse 7 now. For a nation, Salakia, Matthew chapter 24, verse 7. For a nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in diverse places. I mean, Joe Biden and Justin Trudeau came out saying, y'all better brace yourselves. Famines are coming. Food shortages, right? Which is another term for famines. They are coming. You understand? Y'all better be stacking up. You understand? Y'all better get ready because y'all about to starve. Y'all about to get hungry, right? In Canada, we have harsh winters. Well, it's about to get worse. You understand? It reads right here that nation shall rise against nation. That's what Ukraine is doing right now. Ukraine is going to war with the West. You understand? Ukraine is making a Soviet reunion. China is doing the same thing. And they getting ready for worse. North Korea is backing up Ukraine 100%. And if you don't know North Korea, you cannot force North Korea to do anything or not to do anything. When they put their mind up to something, best believe they'll do it. When Kim Jong-un said we're going to war, he's going to war. If he says he's pressing the button, he's pressing the button. You understand? Nation are rising against nation and kingdom against kingdoms. Not only that, but it also prophesies about the food shortages that Justin Trudeau and Joe Biden were talking about, right? You understand? And like we read before, it's going to be in Ecclesiasticus chapter 13, verse 15, right? Every man cleaveth to his like. It's going to be to each his own. So when the famine comes and the food shortages come, who are you going to ask for a slice of bread? You understand? These nations are going to be too busy showing love and compassion to their own people. They're going to be busy feeding their own. They're not going to have any, not an ounce, not a drop of compassion to give you, not a drop of water, not a breadcrumb to give you. They will keep the breadcrumbs to themselves. They'll make sure you get none of it. So who are you going to turn to in these harsh times? You understand? And worse is to come, like never before. As a matter of fact, we're going to jump down to verse 21, right? Which means Matthew chapter 24, verse 21. For then shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time, no, nor ever shall be. I mean, the time that is to come right now, the tribulations, the calamities, natural disasters, we never seen anything like that before, and we'll never see anything like that anymore afterwards. I mean, this year, literally in Europe, whether it's UK, Spain, Portugal, France, even in China, they said they had the worst heat wave since like 40 years or something like that. 10 to 40 years, they had the worst heat wave. I mean, you can look it up. In Spain and Portugal, about like 1,200 people died because of the heat wave. The heat wave sparked forest fires in France, UK, I think Spain, Greece as well. You understand? They've never seen anything like that before, right? And they will not see anything like that afterwards. You understand? When Christ comes back and puts an end to the white man's world meaning age or society, you understand? It will never be, we will not ever go to war afterwards. There wouldn't be no natural disasters when the Most High kills a body of people. You understand? Because the righteous are going to be in rulership. Right? This is the reason why blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indian people have to gather together. You understand? We're going to get deeper into that. We're going to go into Salakia, Joel chapter 3, verse 1. Right? Joel chapter 3, verse 1. Give me one moment. I'm showing you right now why we need to gather together. Not only are we a separate nation from all these other nations, but with what's going to happen, what is happening right now, and what is bound to happen in a few days, weeks, months, who knows? We need to be able to gather together to be able to protect each other, help each other. You understand? Now, this is the book of Joel, chapter 3. Actually, we're going to go to verse 2. Right? I will gather, Salakia, I will also gather all nations and will bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat and will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage Israel, whom they have scattered among the nations and parted my land. I mean, right here is telling you where the season finally, the last fight is going to be at, right? Like we read in Matthew chapter 24, verse 6 and 7, these nations shall rise against each other. You understand? Nuclear war is coming. It is not a conspiracy. It is not speculations. It is biblical prophecy. You understand? Everything that is happening right now, the ISUPK has been telling you that ever since 1969. Keep that in mind. Understand? There's nothing new under the sun. You understand? These words, these biblical prophecies were written for us, for my generation, basically, and the generation that is alive today. You understand? All these brothers and sisters that are alive today, that have access to a 1611 King James version of the Bible, or Louis II in French, or La Reina Valera in Spanish. You understand? We have the biblical prophecies that the Most High gave us, the warnings to let us know, hey, I'm about to turn off the TV on them. I'll turn their TV off. I'll cut the power source on them. This kingdom is going to be dead. You understand? The white man's kingdom battery is running out. And when it runs out, Christ is coming back to replace the battery with the black man's kingdom battery. And that battery will never die. You understand? And when I mean black, I mean blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. You understand? Now let's read. Like we said, like I read, right? In Joel chapter 3, verse 2. The Most High will gather all these nations, right, and bring them down in the valley of Jehoshaphat. Now, that valley of Jehoshaphat is the Middle East, where you have the state of Israel right there. You understand? Palestine, right? This is the Middle East right there. This is where the final fights will occur. You understand? And when that happens, and they go to war, where they start blasting missiles in the sky to go against the Most High, to go against Christ and the angels. But Christ is coming back with a sword. Let's put it like that. It says Christ is coming back with a sword, and his garment will be drenched in blood. You understand? He will not pour blood all over him. The reason why his garment will be drenched in blood is because he's going to get to killing. Heads are going to drop. You understand? Bodies are going to be cut in half. You understand? And to be able to avoid that, you need to come back together, blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indian men and women. Y'all need to come back home, join the I.S.U.P.K, the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge, under commanding General YAHANNA. You understand? And we're going to read where it says that to be able to avoid these calamities, plagues, and so-called judgment, we have to come back together. We have to separate. You understand? The Most High, we have to separate from our oppressors. Right? We're going to get to that. We're going to go into Revelation chapter 18, verse 4. Right? And it reads, And I heard another voice from heaven saying, come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins, and that ye receive not of her plagues. Now, it's telling you right now that we need to come out of her, meaning we need to separate. When it in the her is talking about is a couple of verses above is mentioning Babylon. You understand? And America is Babylon spiritually, is ruling the earth right now. It is the most prolific, the richest and most powerful kingdom that we have right now on the face of the earth. You understand? And all the kingdoms look after America. You understand? To even lift a finger. Even though America stems from the British Empire, right? They are looking to America even to be able to lift a finger, to make a decision. You understand? Anyone who goes against America is going to war. America don't play like that. You understand? They cut you off if you go against them. If you're ready to fight them, you understand? Bump up your chest, whatever the case is. Y'all going to war with America, but no one wants to go to war with America. I mean, nowadays, some nations are willing to go to war with America. I mean, look at Russia, look at Kim Jong-un, North Korea, China. You understand? They don't give a damn because this is biblical prophecy. The Most High is giving them that spirit to go to war. You understand? And what the Most High is telling us is to separate spiritually, not physically. Just like I mentioned before, my brethren, the Asherite, he said he will go back to Peru if the word comes to Canada. You cannot separate yourself physically from Babylon. Peru is a war zone as well. You understand? Central and South America are not being run by Asherites, Zebulonites. Mexico is not being run by Issacharites. You understand? The reason why these areas are deprivated right now is because the white man lets it be like that. He makes sure we're destroying ourselves. You understand? But the Most High is telling us to separate from spiritually from Babylon. You understand? He tells us to join the I.S.U.P.K, change our ways, change our lives, die and be reborn into this truth, to avoid the plagues, the calamities, to avoid dying in a forest fire, to avoid getting the monkeypox. You understand? To avoid getting whatever other plagues he's about to bring out, because it's about to get worse. You understand? To avoid dying in the war that is to come. To be able to make sure of our election and be on the chariots. The Most High is telling us to separate from the Caucasian kingdom. The Most High is telling us to give up Christianity, give up Islam, give up Buddhism. Whatever dogma, philosophy, or religion you follow, the Most High is telling you, give that up. Give up smoking weed. Give up selling drugs. Give up whoring yourself. Give up that so-called alternative lifestyle, or you'll get monkeypox. The Most High is telling you right now, if you don't want to get hit by the plagues, give up your ways. Change your ways. That's what the Most High is telling you. But Israel, we are a stubborn nation. We look for the fast money. We think it's my body, my choice. I'm able to have abortions, whatever the case is. Weed is legal, so I'm able to smoke weed, whatever the case is. The Most High is telling you right here in Revelation 18:4, come out of her, gave up those heathen customs, that heathen culture, so you could be able to avoid the judgment that is about to come on the face of the earth. You understand? So you could be able to make sure of your election and be on them chariots. Because you don't want to be present physically on the earth, right, when Christ comes back. You don't want to be joining the white man's army when Christ comes back. You don't want to be right beside your oppressor when Christ comes back. Christ is coming with a sword. You understand? And birds of a feather flock together. If you don't know what I'm saying, I mean, He's cutting the head of the white chicken. That black chicken is getting his head cut off as well. You understand? As a matter of fact, we're going to go into Second Ezra's chapter 6. I think it's Second Ezra's chapter 6, verse 9. Right? Y'all need to understand that every single so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians need to stop showing love and compassion to their oppressor. Their world or society, kingdom, right, is ending and is to never rise again. You understand? The next world that is to come, meaning the next kingdom or society, would be a black, Hispanic, and Native Indian society. In other words, an Israelite society, the society of the children of the Most High. You understand? Now we're going back to the Apocrypha. For those who don't know, the Apocrypha are 15 books that the Roman Catholic Church removed from the Bible to be able to oppress us further and to hide the truth further from us. You understand? So like it. So let's go back into the Apocrypha. We're in Second Esdras, right? Chapter 6, verse 9. And it reads, "For Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth." For those who are not familiar with biblical terminology, Esau, whose other name is Edom, is the forefather of the Caucasian race. So when we talk about Esau, Edom, or Edomites, these are the biblical names for the Caucasian people. And Jacob, whose name was changed to Israel after wrestling with an angel, right, is the forefather of the 12 tribes of Israel, which are made up by the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. So when it talks about Jacob of Israel, this is the biblical names, or Israelites. It is the biblical names of so-called blacks that went to slavery by ships to the Americas and Caribbeans, so-called Hispanics or Latinos, and Native Indian people. So it's telling you right here in Second Ezra chapter 6, verse 9, that the Caucasian man is the end of the world, meaning his kingdom is ending. The white man's world, his rulership, is coming to an end. And afterwards, the kingdom of so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians is beginning, is the one that will follow the demise of white people. You understand? After the white man dies off, right, we will rule the earth, literally. We will be in rulership. You understand? Which is the reason why you need to gather together, because if you're going to be joining your oppressor and be part of the white man's world, that kingdom is coming to an end. And like in Revelation 18:4, you don't want to get caught up in what's you don't want to get caught up in the blast. You understand? The Most High will rain fire and brimstone. You don't want to get caught up in the blast. You want to be able, okay, so you will be part of the kingdom that is to come regardless, but you don't want to get that fire that is raining from heaven. Let's put it like that. You want to make sure of your election. You want to be on a chariot. You understand? You don't want to have to be panicked about what's going on around the world right now. Just like the Most High told us in Matthew chapter 24, right, verse 6 and 7. We should not be panicked about all the wars that are going on, the famines, right, the earthquakes and forest fires, food shortages. It is supposed to happen. This is the Most High ringing the bell, telling us, hey, your oppression is ending soon. I'm sending you the Savior. You understand? Help is on the way. That's what the Most High is saying, basically. Help is on the way. You understand? And to be able to benefit from that help, the Most High is telling you, you need to separate from the white man's kingdom, from their customs. You understand? From their philosophies. Not only the white man, but any other heathen nation, any other non-Israelite nation, you need to separate from them to be able to benefit from the help that the Most High is providing us. You understand? The Most High is setting our King, Yahweh Shai Mashiach, to destroy the white man's kingdom. I mean, the white man's kingdom is crumbling down right now. You understand? But to make sure, like, the white man's castle is reduced to dust, then even to less than dust, our God, our power, Yahweh, is setting our King, who the world so ignorantly calls Jesus Christ, which is Yahweh Shai Mashiach in the Hebrew. He's sending us our King to make sure the white man is not rising ever again. As a matter of fact, to all you coons out there that don't understand we need to gather together and you want to still show love to your oppressor, we're going to go into Isaiah, right? Chapter 14, right? Isaiah chapter 14, we're going to go into a verse. We're going to start in verse 1. Well, I'm going to show you what is the future that is to come for so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indian people. You understand? So Isaiah chapter 14, verse 1. For the Lord will have mercy on Jacob and will yet choose Israel and set them in their own land. And the strangers shall be joined with them, and they shall cleave to the house of Jacob. Now that's Isaiah chapter 14, verse 1, meaning the Most High, when World War III is already here, but when the nukes pop off, when Christ comes back, Yahweh Shai Mashiach comes back with his sword to actually start the real killing, you understand, to drop them heads off and everything, the Most High will give mercy. He will spare Jacob. And like we already touched on, Jacob is the so-called nation of Israel, so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians, you understand? He will show mercy unto us, right? He will spare us from the killing if we're able to join together and separate from these other nations, right? So he will spare us and he will set us in our land, meaning we're going back to the Middle East, right? We're going back to the motherland. Y'all want to say the motherland is Africa. The motherland is not Africa. The motherland is Israel, which is the whole Middle East. We're going back there. That's what it reads, right? And the strangers, meaning, okay, so just like the Gentiles, there are two definitions or two meanings for strangers, right? Depending on the context. We're not going to get into that right now. I'm just going to break it down to you. In that verse, the strangers that he speaks about in Isaiah chapter 14, verse 1, is talking about the other nations, right? They will cleave unto us after the Most High showed us mercy, you understand? Now let's see what happens afterwards. Verse 2, Isaiah chapter 14, verse 2, and the people shall take them and bring them to their place, right? So we will take these strangers and we will put them in their place. That's literally what it means. We will set them in their place. We will let them know, hey, you belong there. You don't belong here, whatever the case is. You understand? We will set them in their place, righteously. You understand? And rightfully, right? Let's keep reading. And the house of Israel shall possess them in the land of the Lord for servants and handmaids. And they shall take them captives, whose captive they were, and they shall rule over their oppressors, right? So we just read right here, these other nations who are not Israelites, they're going into slavery under us. You understand? For all those so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians want to show love to their oppressors, and be like, we should forgive and forget, whatever the case is. I mean, it says right here, the Most High will show mercy to us, and he will put these nations into slavery right under us. You understand? We will be they will be on the wrong side of the whip. You understand? We will have the handle of the whip. You understand? They will be picking our cotton, shining our shoes. That's what it's reading right now. Hey, Shalom says, Nawa Yahweh Shemar Atabashim Yahushai. What up for tuning in? You understand? Let's not show love to these nations. They don't need our love. You understand? We need our love. We need compassion for our own people. No matter how much compassion, forgiveness, or love you want to show to these other nations, they're going into slavery. You understand? That's what it says right here. The nation of Israel will possess them. To have a possession, meaning we will own them. You understand? We will claim ownership on the so-called white man, on the so-called Ishmaelite, Chinese. We will claim ownership on a person. A person owned by another person is a slave. Let that sink in. You understand? And it literally says that we will possess them for servants. Not only that, when you go further, we shall take them captives, whose captives we were. All these other nations had us captive at some point. You need to understand that. So whoever we were captive to, we will have them captives as well. And to all the so-called, and to all them, not even so-called, I'm just saying to all the coons out there, whether you're Black, Hispanics, and Native Indians, you love your oppressor, you love the white man, right? You love Christianity, the white Jesus, you understand? They're going to slavery because out of all the nations who we were captive to, the most recent and the worst nations we were captive to is the Caucasian race. Whether it's the Americans, the British, the French, the Spanish, the Portuguese, the Romans, the Greeks, you understand? Our worst captivity was by the hand of the Caucasian race. And we will have them captives as well. Right? So let me read one last scripture before we end the class. Right? This is Isaiah chapter 14, verse 21. So like I'm gonna read two last scriptures, right? So Isaiah chapter 14, verse 21, it says, prepare slaughter for his children, for the iniquity of their fathers, that they do not rise nor possess the land, nor fill the face of the world with cities. Meaning, to all those saying like, yeah, I have this white friend or Ishmaelite Arab friend. I mean, yeah, the Arabs, they built the slave ship, but that friend that I have, he wasn't there at that time. He wasn't even born. That so-called Caucasian friend that I have, he wasn't born. I mean, I get it. It probably was his great-great-grandfather who had my ancestors in slavery, whatever the case is. But he wasn't born, so he's not guilty of the crime. Guess what? Two things. First of all, the nation of Israel, Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians, I wasn't born during the time of Moses, during the time of Christ. You understand? But I'm still paying for the crimes of my forefathers. You understand? As a nation, we are paying for the crime of our forefathers for their iniquities, their sin, their disobedience to God. You understand? That's why we're in hell right now, Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. So again, even though that white friend that you have, or even the newborn Caucasian baby that was born yesterday or right now as I speak, will get the judgment of the Most High. The Most High is preparing slaughter for that baby. Why? For the iniquity of his forefathers. His great-great-great-grandfather had your great-great-great-grandfather or grandmother into slavery. You understand? Was raping your great-great-great-grandfather or grandmother, right? Put them into slavery, stole their land, whatever the case is, bashed their heads into the stones. That's why even that newborn Caucasian baby today, he's getting that judgment. He is not innocent. He is guilty of the sin of his forefathers. Even though he can't speak, walk, talk, whatever the case is, he is guilty of the sins of his forefathers, just like we are guilty of the sins of our forefathers. You understand? Now, let me get one last scripture before I end the class. We're going to go into Proverbs chapter 17, verse 17, right? We're going to show you, like I said during the whole class, harsher times are coming. Winter is going to get colder. You're going to get thirstier. You're going to be, the clean water is going to be scarce. Food is going to be scarce. You understand? You're going to need Brotherhood more than ever. You're going to need the ISUPK more than ever. Ever since 1969, right? We've been teaching blacks, Hispanics, and Native people that they need the ISUPK to get out the conditions that they're in. But now you're going to witness more than ever that you need the UPK, whether it's the war, the food shortages, the gas prices going back up, right? Forest fires, the plagues, COVID, monkeypox, or whatever the Mosai has in his bag, right? Because worse is to come, right? I wouldn't be surprised if, you understand, we're not even able to drink tap water no more. I mean, Salakia, apparently in Atlanta, they have monkeypox in the water. So there you go. You understand? But like I said during the beginning of the class, it's going to be to each his own, especially with the times that are coming right now, right? So you're going to want to be able to reach out to the ISUPK when the time comes. I mean, the time is right now. But you understand, when you get that personal wake-up call that you cannot ignore anymore, you're going to seek in Canada, you're going to seek Officer 1000 Zabaja, Officer 500 Shire 1, Officer 1000 Adayar, or myself, Officer 50 Baraki Allah, to bring you back home. You understand? To help you separate from this nation, to be able to avoid the plagues and not partake in the sins of Babylon. You understand? We will show you the most brotherhood you've never seen before, which come to the scripture I'm about to read, right? This is Proverbs chapter 17, verse 17. A friend loveth at all times, and a brother is born for adversity. I mean, the times that are coming, you're gonna understand, you're gonna learn the meaning of the word adversity. We living in hell. We always say, black people, Hispanics, and Native, times are hard, right? It's about to get worse. And the brotherhood that we're showing you right there, it says in the scripture, and a brother is born in adversity. That brother that you're going to have in them hard times, calamities, adversities, how they call it again? Tribulations. These brothers are only found in the I.S.U.P.K, right? When the food shortage comes, right? I'm not going to fight over the last slice of bread with Officer Adayar or Officer Zabaja. I'd rather starve and let them eat first, right? I'll make sure, like, that last slice of bread, we feed it to Lawyer, Officer Adayar's son. I'll make sure Officer Adayar, all of his ribs, right, his son, they're fed before I get fed. That's the amount of brotherhood that we show in the UPK. You understand? I'll make sure they quench their thirst before I get one single drop of water. I'd rather swallow my spit, die of thirst, before I prevent Officer Adayar, Officer Zabaja, or Officer Shaiwan from drinking any water. You understand? I will die before I let Officer Shaiwan's kids die of hunger or thirst. As a matter of fact, I'm mentioning these brothers because these brothers are with me in Canada, but that goes for any brother or sister that is in the ISUPK. You understand? That's the level and the amount of brotherhood that we show to each other, and that we should show, that we have to show each other and express to each other among all across all the nation of Israel. You understand? To all the brothers and sisters that are in the world, show them brotherhood as well. Bring them back home. Lead the way. Show the example. You understand? With that said, we're running short of time, so I'm going to end the class right here. I'm Officer 50 Barak Ya'ala. You understand? This is the Brotherhood class that we have every Tuesday night from 8 p.m. to about 9:30 p.m., right? So I'm about to read the ISUPK security announcements, Salakia, and then we'll give a courtesy salute to the brothers and then a courtesy salute to the sisters, right? One more thing. Every Sunday, tune in to I.S.U.P.K Canada or on the YouTube channel or on Clubhouse, the Rise Podcast 1969. I.S.U.P.K Canada has a podcast every Sunday. We touch on whatever is going on through the nation of Israel, which is Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indian people, our community, and whatever is going on around the world. We touch on recent events, everything like that. You understand? So tune in, right? Again, tune in every Tuesday to the Brotherhood class, taught by me, Officer 50 Barak Ya'ala. With that said, Israel, I'm going to read the security announcements and end the class, right? Give me one moment. Right, so we are the I.S.U.P.K, the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge. Started out of 1 West, 125th Street, Harlem, New York. Rule for new brother and sister. When a new brother or sister comes into the school, they are off limits for 6 months. They are to be saluted only. They are here to shed themselves of the world. If they need transportation, the teacher will arrange it. After 6 months, if a brother or sister has an interest in a particular person, he or she must get permission from the head to speak to a brother or sister. There is another 6 months in which the brother and sister will court each other. After this 6 months period, the brother and sister will get permission from the head to marry. Tithes, which is a commandment. Numbers chapter 18 verse 21 and Malachi chapter 3 verse 8 to 10, which means tenth in the Hebrew, ma'ashara. 10% of every penny of any increase the Lord gives you. Give to the treasury department or teacher. Priest fund, free will offering for priests, not mandatory. Whatsoever amount you would like, right? Upcoming holy convocations. So we have the upcoming holy convocation. We have the Feast of blowing of trumpets, right? On Sunday, the 25th of September. Salakia, most likely it is going to be attended in the city of Montreal, right? So whoever is in the zone of Ontario, contact Officer 1000 Zabadia for details. Whoever is in the zone of the province of Quebec, contact Officer 1000 Adayar for details. You understand? This is a high holy convocation that the Mosai told us where we have to be. We have to gather together physically. You understand? Not just spiritually, so we could eat some good food, have a good drink, gather together. You understand? Let's say be merry with each other. You understand? The more the merrier. So every single so-called Blacks, Hispanic, and Native Indians is invited to attend this holy convocation, the Feast of Blowing of Trumpets, on Sunday, 25th of September, right? So also a reminder to all Akiam and Akwatian to check the bulletin board in the hallway of their schools if they have physical schools in their zone. If to the brothers, if anyone wants to be a trooper in the school, to start wearing all black boots, shirt, pants, headbands, and for the sisters, scarf, right? With that said, Israel, we're going to give a courtesy salute to the brothers, men of Israel, Imajim, which means to stand, right? Men of Israel, Imajim Shabbat, Imajim, Barak, Yahweh Hashem Yahushai Barakatham, Yajamata, which means hands down in the Hebrew, right? If there's any sisters in your presence, men of Israel, turn and face the sisters, right? Men of Israel, Amajim Shabbat, Amajim, Barak, Yahweh Shamar Alathan Ba'Hashem Yahweh Shai. Yajamata, which means hands down again. Class dismissed. Hey, Shalom, Israel.
Hey. I've been searching for the light just to make it through the night. If you hear my shout, help me cast my demons out. I've been searching for the light. Almost made it through the night. If you hear my shout,
let's go. You know what I'm talking about? I'm a priest every day. I ain't choosing my ways, it's a slave. Need water, need to follow my way. It's I.S.U.P.K. And I notice you slightly depressed. That's from your walk, I know you had on shades. When I look into your eyes, it seems like you wanna die today, but don't let her. Don't let her shut up, boy, I know that hoe. I hear Papa tell what's old to you, new to me. Call that bitch a garage sale, but on your case I heard it's cheating on you. Your money low and they don't wanna be round. I heard that you had the city on you, but now that bit like a ghost town. When your friends at, I heard you care for any of them niggas. And I heard that from your song, but it's nice like they dismiss you. And I know I can't tell you nothing, but I'ma tell you straight up, you ain't nothing. Boy, you seeking hard for a nigga proof. Boy, you sign gay, switch topic. And I know you bait like tilapia, but your mind focused on the righteous. And the only nigga that's beside you that's gonna tell you like YAHANNA. And I know it seems like I'm bashing. I call that a two-edged sword, but hurt coming in, sting coming out. What you think being right's for, huh?
Be real.
I've been searching for the light.
Niggas swear they real, so goddamn they hear some shit they ain't never heard before, man. And when they hear some shit they never heard, they wanna challenge that shit like it's wrong or something. Get your weak ass mind right, nigga.
I've been searching for the light.
I'm here for you, man.
Almost made it.
I ain't saying I'm perfect, but Christ said be ye perfect, bitch.
If you hear my shout,
apply that shit, nigga. Get it.
I'ma help you, I'ma show you, I paint that picture for you. You need to know the white man, the devil before I go in. You can't see that, I pull out my stats on how we kidnap. I'm pulling out fast about blast, how we got packed on damn shoots. It ain't no cap, and the damn shorts, and it's up like snacks. And the damn women have a damn shots in their laps, and it's all traps. But you gotta relapse on your damn history. I don't need no yacht if you came out. Where the hell we from? You hear this English, boy, but what's our tongue?
What's your home language, man?
I'ma tell you straight up. Yeah, I serve the Lord like ain't nothing to it. But I'm telling you, it's war like Call of Duty. Yeah, I'm on this land, and I got a plan. Just grab my hand, but I'm your second chance. If you don't understand, then I guess you're damn. But I'm here face to face, an angel to a fan. Whoa. Listen to the damn right terms. If you laugh, you might die unlearned. I'ma get you straight like a damn burn 2G, bitch.
I've been searching for the light just to
You know what I'm saying, man? I'm here. I feel like we put on earth for a reason, man. But it's up to you to fill out that purpose, man. Ain't about getting your mind done smoking weed and shit. Goddamn sniffing cocaine or serving a white man all your life, nigga. You think the white man is God out here? That's why you don't question what the hell they doing out here, man. Cause you was serving them, man. Serve the Lord, you bitch, you.
Check out my style. I fall from a lane, girl. Watch me put it down, baby. She on the road, kick it around in my coupe. Me and you just cruising through the town lately. Ask you some questions, girl, do you mind? What will it take to make you mine, please? Told me be you and we can try. So I spit true, I change the whole theme. Check out my style. I fall from a lane, girl. Watch me put it down, baby. She on the road, kick it around in my coupe. Me and you just cruising through the town lately. Ask you some questions, girl, do you mind? What will it take to make you mine, please? Told me be you and we can try. So I spit true, I change the whole theme. No, I ain't giving up. I made an oath, I ain't giving up. Whoa, we on the phone getting spiritual. Then I remix the flow, getting in the check out my style, I'm far from my lane, girl. Watch me put it down, baby. She on the road, kick it around in my coupe. Me and you just cruising through the town lately. Ask me some questions, girl, do you mind? What would it take to make you mine, please? Told me be you and we can try. So I spit true, I change the whole thing. Check out my style, I'm far from my lane, girl. Just watch me put it down, baby. She on the road, kick it around in my coupe. Me and you, we just cruising through the town lately. Ask me some questions, girl, do you mind? What would it take to make you mine, please? Told me be you and we can try. So I spit true, I change the whole thing. Check out my style, I'm far from my lane, girl. Just let me put it down, baby. She on the road, kick it around in my coupe. Me and you, we just cruising through the town lately. Ask me some questions, girl, do you mind? What would it take to make you mine, please? Told me be you and we can try. So I spit true, I change the whole thing. No, I ain't giving up. No, I made an oath, I ain't giving up. Hey, we on the phone getting spiritual. And I remix the flow, getting in the air. Check out my style, I'm far from my lane, girl. Just watch me put it down, baby. She on the road, can get around in my coupe. Me and you, we just cruising through the town lately. Ask me some questions, girl, do you mind? What would it take to make it mine, please? Told me be you and we can try. So I spit true, I taste the whole thing. No, I ain't giving up. Hey, I made an oath, I ain't giving up. Whoa, we on the phone getting spiritual. And then I remix the flow, getting